Welcome back to a brand new episode of The Unfinished Human with me, Assis Rester. Now, I know it's been a while since I made a last post or a recording on my channels, Spotify, YouTube, and here, but I intentionally took a moment to step back, reset, make a space for a little thinking, a little learning, and perhaps a little bit of unlearning and relearning too. In day to day, we spend so much time building, moving, solving. For me, this was one of those intentional pauses with conviction to make sure that I prioritize my mental well being. And when I come back, I show up with clear thinking, better decisions, and the right energy for the journey ahead with this channel, with everything that I'm building with my family. And I really appreciate your patience and your understanding on this matter. Now, one of the things that I'd like to also share with you in an authentic way in that psychologically safe space is also it is always hard to restart again. Obviously, once you've taken a break. And for me, I had one of those moments, with this channel again, saying, okay, how do I restart? What do I talk about? You know, what would be something that my very small group of followers and audience may want to hear? What is the topic that I want the rest of the world to hear? And I've chosen a really interesting topic today, a contrarian thinking coming your way. I'm going to talk about self-acceptance versus ambition, and I'm going to be talking about this topic in few series to come as well, probably 4 or 5 episodes, because I'd like to bust myth on this topic. We all have grown up ingrained into us via society, community, be your professional job, family, that self-acceptance versus ambition cannot be positive sum, right? You've got to sacrifice to grow. Whereas I don't really believe that. And like I said, this is deeply personal to me, right? And I'm sharing things that I've experienced myself rather than just theory as well. So self-acceptance versus ambition, myth buster part 1. Stay with me on this one, especially if you feel these two need to compete or have grown up believing that these two cannot go hand in hand. One has to be sacrificed for the other. For you to grow, you've got to box and bury your self-acceptance, right? And as you know, I always aim to share something with intention, and sometimes some of us find nervous to tell. But here I am with part 1 of self-acceptance versus ambition. Now, let's begin with the understanding that it's not a zero-sum game. I truly believe that, right? And I'm going to be an advocate of that. As some of you know me, you know me that by design I am aggressively optimistic guy. I'm a growth hungry guy, an ambitious individual, and for me, it's a positive sum game plan for me. Did I grow up believing the same? No, right? I grew up in that same status quo of, look, if you've got to grow, you've got to, suppress these matters, but particularly accepting some of your requirements, your desires, your particularly your well-being as well. And my question is really, why do you have to compromise your self-acceptance in prioritizing your career growth or whatever that you're trying to achieve? Why? Acceptance and ambition is an and relationship, not all. Both for my personal growth and as a leader, I approach this with equanimity. It's a mental balance to achieve. In the modern world we live in, we have kind of created this toxic culture of hustling, meaning time has been commoditized, meaning if you don't spend time in economic sense and making money, you are told that you're wasting time. You believe, you tell yourself that you're wasting time and your life. And honestly, this is fundamentally wrong. In my case, one day I'm on global stage, right? I'm traveling around the world. I'm talking, on my passion. I'm sharing my thought leadership with, you know, some of the stages that I struggle with imposter syndromes at times. There are some big personalities there, and then I walk in, right? I'm building something bigger than myself with my technology business as well. The next, I'm at home, you know, just being dad, a husband, a friend. I'm cooking, I'm baking, I'm laughing, I'm goofing around, I'm making mistakes. It's my family, especially my kids, my wife, who bring me back to what truly matters. They are my roots. The rest of the world see the crown of my tree, but what they don't see are my roots. And my roots are about that self acceptance, my family, self compassion, mindfulness, my well being. And that's what truly matters. Because if you've got to keep what is seen all lush and green, you've got to work. In fact, you've got to make sure that what is unseen, your roots of your tree, are very, very strong. There is resilience, there is redundancy, and you make time for it. So, I personally don't see self acceptance and ambition as a trade off, to be honest with you. For me, it's never been either or, it's always been both. I'm naturally driven and I do care about growth, like I said earlier, right? I do have ambition. At the moment, I'm building a tech startup that is larger than myself. But I have come to realize along the way that ambition without self acceptance becomes heavy, and self acceptance without ambition can become static. I talked about equanimity earlier. One such balance is switching off, taking intentional time off, taking a meaningful break, and then make sure that when you're away from work, you're away from work. On top of working long hours, when we are away from work, we're often truly off. Some of us do this because of habitual FOMO, fear of missing out, while there are companies and leaders who expect and reward such behavior, right? When you're responding to your emails or you're jumping on calls when you should be spending time with your family or giving time to yourself, that self compassion, that self love to recharge, to reset, to re energize. Instead, we are either thinking about work or mindlessly scrolling emails and messages, whether it be Teams, Slack, WhatsApp. This is the status quo of the hustling culture that I mentioned earlier that is being rewarded, and which is what I'm challenging. It's toxic. We think we are resting, but we are not. We get agitated why things are not working when you are away, right? And then you go on a micromanagement, mode as well. You think that you solve all the problem, whatever it is, at home, at work, etc. That's not a restorative break. you know that's not going to re-energize and rejuvenate you. It's not going to give you that sort of balance when it comes to your well-being and time with your family as well. As I said, I mean, I've recently only returned back from a purposeful break with my family, and I loved it. I went on a digital detox to an extent, right? We were just being us. We were trying foods, we were walking, we were admiring the new culture, the new people, the new food, the new location, and it helped me come back with much more clearer thinking, better decisions as well. When you are off, be off. Firstly, realize that you're a human, you're not a machine. We humans are complex being. We have emotions, we have connections, we have ourselves, our 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 soul that is bigger than who we think we are, to look after. You are in charge not just of your work, not just of your family, but of yourself as well, your inner soul. So when you are off, be off and be engaged in something purposeful and restorative. That's why you took time off, break in the first place. It has to be meaningful rest. As I said earlier, time has almost become a currency in this materialistic world, right? Where hustling is seen as something that everybody has to participate. And if you're not participating or not using the time to produce, achieve, or earn money, it feels like you're wasting it. I don't believe that, you know, like my time spent with my family. No money can buy that. I'm creating memories that is going to last way longer than a materialistic value. And this is where I want to let you know that most important growth does not happen when we are on, it happens when we step back, not carrying work in the back of your mind, not kind of where you are half working, a real pause. And it reminded me of something simple but easy to forget. Rest isn't opposite of ambition, it is part of it. Always prioritize your self-care, right? In that sense, rest is still on too, but doing active rest like going on a holiday with a family, going on a hike with friends or family, going for a walk. When did you last walk with yourself or your loved ones without distraction or mobile phone, or your headphones? Go watch a movie together. When did you last went to cinema, right? Enjoyed that popcorn. We're so used to that Netflix and chill culture. When did you actually go to a cinema last? Sit by the beach, go to a cafe, just enjoy coffee, don't take technology with you, just enjoy coffee as as you have a chat with your loved one, with your friend. This is a mindset shift we need to intentionally make when thinking about that equanimity, that balance off is still on. As I said, always prioritize your self-care. Self-care is not selfish. Self-compassion is not selfish. And rest first, because being off and resting is part of the positive sum game plan in achieving your ambition. And you have to see it that way. There's no other way to see it. See, half of the issue is seeing it and embracing it in that way. And when you do it, you realize that if you protect your self acceptance today, who you are, you know, with your vulnerability, with your need, you are going to be better. And it feels a part of ambition too. You and only you have the power to make self acceptance part of your ambition. As I said, it does not have to be opposing. Break out of that status quo, challenge that stereotypical thinking and ways of operating, using hustling or growth as a proxy. It is self acceptance with ambition. And I genuinely urge you to make this mindset shift. And the paradigm of your growth will shift along as well. For me, the recent break created space to think clearly, space to reset, space to come back with better energy, not just for myself, but for my family, for my journey with what I'm building. That's the shift I'm learning. As I said earlier, being off is still part of being on, and it has to be intentional. So maybe the question isn't, am I working hard enough to earn as much as I can all the time? Maybe it is more of, am I resting well enough to sustain the life that I'm trying to build? A life worth living. Because at the end of the day, why do you go to work? Why do you earn money? To live a life worth living. So why do you compromise that in earning money, in creating your ambition? Why can't it go together? For me, self acceptance and ambition don't compete. They share a very intimate dovetail relationship and strengthen each other. When I protect my well being, I show up better. When I show up better, my ambition becomes more meaningful. So, if this resonates with you, take a moment to reflect and truly ask yourself, when was the last time you truly switched off? Not physically, but mentally. What might change if you allowed rest to be part of your ambition, not a break from it? Listen, break that cycle. Self acceptance and ambition need to go in parallel. Thank you very much for listening to me. We're all learning, unlearning, relearning at the same time. And if this perspective adds even a small shift for you, I'm grateful for the connection, because the best journeys are the ones we build with awareness, with balance, with that equanimity and a long term view. Thank you, and see you in the next episode.